Hey, welcome back to the Your Financial EKG YouTube page. My name is Drew Blackston. I'm a certified retirement counselor, investment advisor representative, and I am your virtual financial advisor, helping you get to retirement, helping you get through retirement, and protecting your ability to stay in retirement. Now, I want to talk about today a required minimum distribution tip that you can do today in your IRA so that you don't have to sell any stock, mutual funds, or ETFs in order to take your required minimum distribution. Now let me say that again because that's a little bit of a mouthful. I want to show you a way that you don't have to sell any stock, mutual funds, or ETFs in your IRA to take your required minimum distribution. Now, before we get started, before we go through this cool tip, make sure if you haven't subscribed to the channel by clicking the link below. Smash the like button if you enjoy this content. Leave your questions, comments, and yes, your sarcastic remarks below. I do read them all and I respond to everyone. So let's talk about a required minimum distribution tip that you can put into place today so that you don't have to sell stock, mutual funds, or ETFs in your IRA. Now, let's assume, I was talking to a gentleman this week. Let me give you some backstory real quick. I was talking to a gentleman this week. He had about $100,000 in his IRA. Okay, so he had $100,000 in his IRA. And all of this was mainly two stocks. Now I know that is not diversification, that is not a good way to invest, but for him, with this part of his money, this IRA, he owned two stocks. He owned Apple and he owned Tesla. Okay? Now this was a very risky account. It was something he was trying to grow as much as possible. So he's got $100,000 in Apple and Tesla, and he's over the age of 72, which means that he's required to take a required minimum distribution. And we were having a conversation, we were doing our normal financial review, and he said, Drew, I don't want to have to sell any of my stock in my IRA in order to take my required minimum distribution. And I said to him, Tom, you don't have to sell any stock in your IRA to take your minimum distribution. Let me show you a tip. And so here's what I showed him. Essentially, out of his $100,000, he was going to have to take out somewhere around $5,000 for his required minimum distribution. In order to do that, in a traditional sense, he would sell a portion of stock, and that money would be deposited into his bank account, or deposited into a brokerage account, or a check sent to him, whatever he wants. But you can also do this. The market right now is at an all-time high. Apple and Tesla are doing really well, and he doesn't want to sell them. He can actually take $5,000 worth of shares, okay, so however many shares it takes to get to $5,000, and he can move the shares over to an individual account. Okay, so it's after tax, it's still keeping the stocks invested, it's still staying in the market, but the money's going out of his IRA, which is a pre-tax account, meaning you haven't paid taxes on it, and it's going into a post-tax account, meaning you have paid the taxes on it. Now, in this gentleman's case, in Tom's case, he had the money in his bank to pay the taxes on this distribution. But what he liked about it was he was able to take $5,000 worth of Apple stock, move it over into his individual brokerage account, and he didn't have to sell the stock. He can continue owning Apple stock. Now when it moves over into the brokerage account, whatever the stock is trading at when it moves over there, that's his new cost basis. And he loved it. He loved this idea. And let me give you one more quick tip on this. This is a great tip to use, taking your required minimum distribution and moving it over in shares when the market is down. Okay? Now listen, if you need your required minimum distribution for retirement income or for your retirement savings to live off or whatever, take the money out, put it in your bank account, use that for your retirement. But if you don't need the money and the market, let's say, is down here, well, instead of selling your stock here, okay, instead of selling it at a low point for cash, just move it over into an individual account, a joint account, and then ride the wave back up. Now listen, I know this can be a little bit complicated trying to talk through this on YouTube, but if you have any questions, all my contact information is below. I would love to help you with your retirement planning. And listen, if you want a free download, the Roadmap to Retirement, go to my website, Your Financial EKG, or the easiest way, click the link below. It'll take you right to the free download. Fill out your information and you can have that today. Now, I hope this information has been useful. I hope you have enjoyed this required minimum distribution tip and that you can use this today. Again, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.